Hey everybody, in this video I want to talk to you all about images, which is what Module 9 is all about. So by the time I'm done with this video, it'll go in our Module 9 course materials. And just so you know, this is brand new for fall 2021, so that'll just kind of give you an idea of how long ago I created this video. And then the other thing, so I know what you're thinking. Like, what in the world is going on with all these tabs that are open? Well, let's just put it this way. It is Thursday, October 7th, as I'm recording this, October 7th, 2021. And that tells you that it's been a long week because it's Thursday. So theoretically, right, I've been working since Monday. And then theoretically also I've been working since 8 a.m, so it's been a long day also. And throughout the day, throughout the week, as I'm working, I just open tabs and I never close them again, mostly because I think, okay, I'm going to go back to that. And most of the time I do. And ever since Google Chrome came up with a grouping feature, that's really just helped me out a lot to organize my thoughts. So actually, I have more tabs open that you can't see, like under messages. Whoop, there it is. So yeah, I got lots of stuff going on. So sorry about that if it gives you a little stress attack, but my computer can handle it. And just ignore the tabs at the top. So let's just talk about images. Uh, let's start with this. People prefer images over text. Like, people just like looking at pictures. And so images are a big deal when it comes to web pages. And for the last, oh my goodness, that's my cat. Hopefully she does not do that again. But oh, I don't want to do this video again. Let me just pause until she's better. Let's see what she wants. All right, so I guess that's just the kind of stuff that happens when you work from home. So she's in the other room now, my cat, and if you can still kind of hear her, that's another thing for me to apologize, right? Apologize about. So yeah, what was I talking about? Images. Oh yeah, people prefer images over text. Uh, so it makes sense that think about the web pages that you visit, right? Like, there's a lot of pictures, and good images could really make the difference between something that people want to stay and interact with, or they just take off and like, oh, this is too boring. So yeah, that goes along with this one. Images draw attention and trigger emotion. And then there's other stuff on here. This is the one that I'm most concerned about also, as far as the technical aspect of what we're doing in this class. So for the last 8 weeks, we've been doing HTML and CSS coding, and depending on how you used images in your website, I may have told you that your images are too big. And that's an important aspect because the user experience can be really negatively impacted if your images are too big. Because every time a web page loads, your web browser has to call up that image, and then it has to load it. And depending on how fast a person's internet connection is, that might take a while, especially if you have big file sizes. So optimizing is important. So that means just making it just the right size so that it doesn't slow down your website. And that's something important to remember, because as the years go by, we all pretty much use digital cameras, whether that's a dedicated camera or perhaps you're using the camera app on your smartphone. And these cameras tend to be, or tend to create really big image files because, well, if you're like me, I try to choose the highest megapixel possible. So those in turn create really big files. And you'll see an example of that in just a couple of minutes. The next thing I want to talk about as far as images is under Start Here and then you scroll down to computer and software requirements, and then you scroll down to software requirements. Well, because images are a big part of web pages, one of your requirements was to have some kind of photo editing app. And now that we're in the halfway point of the semester, it's time to start thinking about what you're going to use to edit your photos that you're going to be using, especially for your website project. And you have a couple of options. If you're on campus, you could use a computer lab in Grinstead 103, and I'll let you read through how you could go about using that. There's Adobe Photoshop on there, and that's my recommendation. If you can use Adobe Photoshop, go for it. Now, for some of you, that may not be an option because maybe your computer can handle it, or you just don't want to spend the $20 a month or $10 a month to have a subscription to have access to Photoshop. So, if that's the case, then I gave you a couple of different options. And the one I want to show in this video is pixlr.com. So when you click on that, it'll take you to this page right here, photo editor. And the one I like to use is the advanced photo editor. So if you click on that, it'll take you here to where you could open an image and it will show you your latest project. So I already did this just a couple minutes ago, this Richmond, Virginia photo. So that's why it's showing up there. But for you, what you could do is click on open image. And then from there, you can navigate to the folder that has the images that you want to open. So after you do that, or you'll get something like this. You choose a photo. So here's that photo of me and my daughter in Richmond, Virginia. Yeah. So this one, actually, let me do this. Open image, and then I'll choose this one. So if you look, this is 8.5 megabytes. That's a huge file. And we don't want our pictures to all be that size because it'll really slow down your page load time. What I try to, like, you want to go as slow as possible. Like, I even say maybe 100 um, kilobytes or less for images, like maybe even smaller if you can do that. So this is what happens if you open an image that's big. So this was taken with a camera with, I don't even remember how many megapixels, but it's pretty high. So when I open it, it tells me the image you selected is very large. So it's 5472 by 3648 pixels. So it's telling me to resize this. So I'll just say web and then apply. And then I get something like this. So for you all, when you're using images, or if you're using images that are just as big as mine, like this example right here, then you want to make sure if you're going to use it for your web pages in this class and also in future web pages that you may work on, you want to ensure that those are not too big. And say that the most I want to make this picture is 600 pixels wide. Well, you can go to image and then image size. Ensure you have the constraint proportions on. And I'll make it 600 for the width. And since I'm constraining the proportions, it's going to resize the height accordingly to keep my image looking correct instead of wonky or stretched out or too thin or whatever, warped. So let me apply that. So now my image is 600 by 400 pixels, which would be perfect, say, for a website that I'm working on. So that's how you can go about optimizing your images that you will be using for your website project so that they're not too big. So you don't get those comments from me that say your image file size are too big. Now, here's the other thing that I see a lot, so I want to talk about that in this video, which, how long has this been going anyway? 9.5 minutes. Okay, well, let's just finish with this thought. So, for some of you, or just not you all specifically in this class, but just in the many semesters that I've taught this class, some students like to use, say, an image like this that's horizontal, but then they force it to become vertical. So something kind of like this. So I'm not going to constrain my proportions unless I make this like this, 200 by 400. So they force an image that was horizontal and they want to make it vertical. And so this is what I mean by a wonky looking image. Like that does not look right. And so when I tell you that your images look warped because you didn't resize proportionally, this is what I mean. So if you really want to use a horizontal picture and then make it vertical, you could use your crop tool to do that. So this has a crop tool, and when it comes to going from horizontal to vertical, so landscape to portrait, you're going to have to sacrifice part of the image. In this case, if I want it to be portrait like this, I'm going to have to give up some part of the image on the left and the right, or depending on where I'm cropping, maybe just on the left side or maybe just on the right side. So there has to be sacrifices, right? So you can't just force an image you have or to become something that it's not. You have to crop it. All right, so that's what I want to cover in this video. Yeah, I don't even remember how I sign off these videos. So let's just say bye bye for now.